synchronistic that our theme for November is wholeness, and that our topic today is the power of community. And what could be more appropriate right now than for us to talk about wholeness and community when our nation is divided apparently right down the middle? Well, it's more than that. It's like our nation is a pottery bowl that has fallen and cracked and broken into some 4 or 5 pieces. So what can we do about that? Well, here are the words from our movement's vision. We see our communities as empowered with the realization of unity and wholeness, from which flows the ultimate healing power of forgiveness and love. There's some really important key ideas in that statement. Empowered by unity and wholeness, because it's unity and wholeness that allows for healing and forgiveness and love. Clearly, we can see that when we are empowered by division or divisiveness, it produces a different kind of experience. I really want to take in these ideas, put them up like a poster on the bulletin board of my mind so I can really get clear on them, so I can understand what is mine to do. And to you, my Center for Spiritual Living community, I want to say this, that wherever you find yourself on the map, whichever piece of the broken bowl represents you, whatever side of the divide you believe you are on, and whatever the state of your emotions right now, all of us are being called to the extreme practice of our teaching in a very real, serious, and gritty way. At the heart of our teaching is this idea that there is an innate wholeness in creation, a creative power that binds us all together, a power that we use with our choices and our thinking. And it is a lovely idea to think about when things are going well. When the economy is good. When your team is winning. When the nation is in agreement. Yet it can be a profoundly challenging concept to remain loyal to remain true to remain connected to, when we are divided and hurting and struggling or losing or healing or whatever it is. Have you seen this poster? Keep calm and carry on. It was a motivational poster produced in Britain as it was preparing to go to war in 1939. And I think we have to be mindful about how we take in the words of this poster, because to say keep calm and carry on is not the same thing as saying pretend that nothing is happening. It's not the same as saying tune out, disengage. No. You see, the poster was a recognition of a very real and imminent threat of a horror that did in fact take place. And I'm talking about the Blitz, the devastating bombing of London by Nazi Germany, with an estimated loss of over 100,000 lives. In my mind, the poster was not intended to be an invitation to do nothing and to meekly accept fate. No, I can see it as an intention to be a serious and effective reminder that our best responses come from our sane minds, not when we are hysterical, not when we are being manipulated by fear, not when we are deranged or hypnotized by mob mentality or the fake news of social media. Do you know that some 2 million of these posters were printed by the government? But they were not widely used. They were not put up. In fact, during the war, little was known about them. And they're better known today because they were discovered in the year 2000 in a bookstore and brought into popular culture, put on a variety of products with all sorts of different sentiments. I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that poster, and I've been thinking about my spiritual life and asking myself the question, what is the use of a good idea unless I put it to good use? What is the use of an inspiring vision, such as the one that we have of our communities being inspired and empowered by wholeness and forgiveness and love? What is the use of that if I don't put it up in my consciousness, if I don't circulate it in my thoughts, if I don't take it in, if I don't take it on? See, the message of Centers for Spiritual Living has always been, we must become the things that we wish to see being birthed in this world. We have to be mindful again of the words of this poster, remembering that to be calm, to be loving, to be centered, to be spiritual, is not the same as disengaging from life. It is not the same as giving up and accepting any old thing. It is not the same as avoiding difficult situations. To myself, I say, this is no time to go to sleep. I know that at times of dramatic change, there may arise an impulse to withdraw. And after an appropriate period of time to deal with whatever appropriate feelings arise, and after time to recover and replenish the spirit, the next impulse must and does arise. And it is the impulse to get up and to stand for your values, including our movement. A time to get up and stand for our values, which include, among other things, diversity, compassion, inclusivity, love, and integrity. Oh, serenity is not the opposite of engagement. No. Inner peace and courage are companions. So, steadfast and strong and level-headed and wide awake, we can and must respond to the self within us and follow its promptings to participate in this world. We might put that up as a poster in our consciousness and let it work in our thinking day in and day out until it becomes the filter through which we make sense of our world. Oh, I know it's difficult. It's probably not even fair. And I know none of this answers the question, why? Or any of the other important questions facing our society today. But this inner work is very, very important to anyone who considers themselves to be a student of truth. One of our members, Valerie Marshall, sent me an excellent article. This is the title. We dare you to become we the people. It's written by the authors of the book Thinking with Those Who Think Differently, about collaborative intelligence. And in it the authors write, this election has broken the bowl of democracy that has held us together for over 200 years. And apparently, they explain, in Japan, there is a tradition of repairing the cracks in broken pottery by filling the cracks in with gold. So rather than hiding the damage by filling it in with something that looks like the pottery, they incorporate the cracks into the piece, and the resulting pottery is thought to be even more valuable than when it was whole. I can take that in. I can see, yes, keep calm, stay centered, be loving, and be true to your spiritual self. And start putting the pieces back together again and filling in the cracks. I can think of many ways to do that. Perhaps for me would be to develop the heart to connect with those people who think differently. The author's right. If you find yourself feeling discouraged and disheartened, you are not alone. Too many of us are avoiding talking about what matters with our relatives and neighbors and friends, wanting to avoid conflict with those who voted for whatever the other side is. So we just safe talk about sports and movies and the weather, and slowly withdraw our respect from one another and from ourselves. The two of us, the authors say, don't believe it's going to be the government that puts the bowl back together. We believe it will be each one of us. They also give a guide for how we might engage in conversation with people who think differently. And I think how timely for many of you who are going to go to have Thanksgiving dinners with family members. Perhaps these ideas will work for you. Can you imagine saying to somebody, here is how our connection is specifically important to me. And then you explain, because I believe that there is a connection between us and that together we solve the problems of the world. And then you follow up, and how is it important to you? With the heart to listen. How about this one? And what is the most important thing to you that has surfaced in the issues this election has raised? To really listen. And are you open to hearing what is the most important issue to me? Because they may say no. And how do you suggest that we stay connected even though we hold different opinions? You know, one of the questions I've been asking myself is, how can I be more understanding in a world that is polarized? Well, it takes courage for one thing, because it may mean that I must be willing to be not polarized. And I am polarized. So for a start, I have to investigate, where am I getting my information from? Because that is going to make a difference in my opinions and what I think. I've been looking at a service called allsides.com, and it exposes biases so that you and I, the readers, can understand how polarization affects our thinking. So it's not like regular news services in that it provides multiple angles of one story so that you and I can get a fuller picture. It's based on the idea that you and I cannot understand an issue if we only know one side of it. And it also provides a rating system that you and I can participate in with our votes to determine if a news source is left, center, or right. We can vote and participate. See how close is our news source to the center. So I read the Christian Science Monitor, and I love it, so I thought I'd better check. Looked it up. I did. And so this is how it rates on the service. It rates right in the center. And I thought to myself, you know, I have to incorporate more sources like that. Because I know I cannot expand my consciousness if I stick to the edge of my bias. And that's for everything. Sexuality, diet, the planet, religion, everything. I can't move toward the center of understanding if I only have conversations with people who agree with me. If I only read material that confirms my point of view. And I now know for certain, for sure, that I cannot depend on social media for the source of what is going on in this world. And I know, for me, for sure, that clicking, liking, and sharing will not make the kind of difference that I want to see in this world. I'm probably only contributing to the wealth of advertisers. I know for me, for sure, that circulating, agitating stories among people who already think like me has a limited kind of effectiveness. It's a video game. It's called slacktivism. I know, for me, I'm going to have to get off of the internet and onto the phone, off of email and onto writing actual physical letters if I want my voice and my point of view and my values to be heard by the people who represent me, because I learned they don't read our emails. Now, the Christian Science Monitor has an excellent reputation in the world of news because rather than narrowing its focus to a particular bias, it aims to provide fair, balanced, multiple perspective views, so it avoids sensational, polarizing coverage. Oh, I want to be like that. I read one article in the Christian Science Monitor that covers the post-election rise in hate crimes and acts of kindness in both camps. Now, I can't do the article justice over here, except to mention one inspiring story from the article of a woman who started a volunteer project in New York for people who are feeling afraid to go to work. And she hoped that maybe 30 or 40 of her friends would volunteer to accompany these people to work. But some 5,500 people signed up for the project that is now called Accompanying My Neighbor. And the article addresses violences on both sides of the divide, not seeking to make one act of violence more justified than the other, but to point to the incredible power of community coming together, with or without the help of government, across political and religious differences, to repair our national fracture. Another question I'm asking myself is, how can I maintain my spiritual center in a world that is so fractured? Well, it takes courage, for one thing, because it may mean that I get to follow the examples of the great social reformers who were also peace advocates. Like Mahatma Gandhi, for example. In the book, Gandhi, the man, he is quoted like this. "It is easy," Gandhi used to say, "for the strong person to become nonviolent. It is the weakling who finds it impossible." For nonviolence means the capacity to love those who hate you, to show patience and understanding in the face of the most fiery opposition, This is the most difficult discipline one can learn in life, and it is for this reason that the Bhagavad Gita says that if you want to see the brave, look at those who can forgive. If you want to see the heroic, look for those who return love for hatred. Peace is compatible with spiritual living. Violence is the opposite of spiritual living. And peace does not in any way mean no action or weakness. Gandhi, for example, he would walk barefoot straight into the heart of the most violent areas in India during the worst of the fighting, and every time he showed up, some kind of miraculous event would occur, perhaps in the form of a Muslim family taking the risk of giving him shelter, or murderers coming forward to give their weapons over to him, or looters returning to him what they had taken, or thieves coming to him to offer him money to fund the relief of the suffering. There's the story of Gandhi in a village where there was a notoriously fierce community agitator who came right up to him in front of hundreds of onlookers and put his hand around Gandhi's slender throat and began choking the life out of him. And it is said that in Gandhi there was not even a flicker of hostility, not a word of protest, that he yielded himself completely to the flood of love within him. And it is said that at that point, the man choking him broke down and started sobbing like a child and fell to his feet. To those who were watching, I'm imagining it must have looked like a miracle. And to Gandhi, I'm imagining it must have seemed just like further confirmation of the truth contained in the teaching of the compassionate Buddha. That hatred does not cease by hatred at any time. Hatred ceases by love. This, the Buddha said, is an unalterable law. Now, I'm not going to tell you today how to apply the inspiration of Gandhi's example to your life and to these times. I don't know how. I only know that lives such as his and the lives of the social reformers who were also peace advocates like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. have a profound effect on the way that I think and act if I will just bring their example up like a poster and put it in my mind. So I offer to you to ask yourself the question that I'm asking myself every day almost. Who am I going to let influence, guide, and inspire my actions today? On Tuesday evening, our Beyond Limits class completed. The election took place right in the midst of our Beyond Limits class. That's our beginner class about metaphysics. You can imagine somewhat disrupting the class. In this class, students learn how to create affirmative prayers. And one of the students created a prayer to address wholeness and to help his friends and family cope with the uncertainty and with the concerns that are rising right now in our nation. And I brought the prayer along. It's by Carlos Mendoza, and there are copies of it outside at the information table in case you want to take one home. And if you want to learn about how to create prayers in this way, the class Beyond Limits is starting up again in January with Kelly Metcalf. So I invite you to breathe in and exhale, letting your eyes close. There is a higher power. It is the highest power, the creator of the universe. This higher power is eternal. It is an infinite source of energy, a creative energy that flows through all of its creation. It is intelligence, infinite wisdom, and eternal love. This power is perfection. This power is God. It created all matter, the stars and the planets, water, food, and all life on earth. It is the mother and the father of all women and men. It is the spirit of love. This loving spirit is omnipresent. Its physical form is the universe. It is nature itself. It is my own self, my body, my mind. It is my love. I am the undeniable truth of its existence. I am the proclamation of its omnipresence. My life is the testimony of the Almighty, and this is the truth that reaches everyone, for they are all part of the one infinite source, everyone. Their moms, their sisters, their dads, their friends, all blessed with it, because all are part of it. It moves and flows through every one of us. And so I realize and I know that in our essence, we are one with God. So I declare that our essence is perfection and our love is eternal. And this perfect essence flows freely on the earth through every being, woman and man, old and young, black and white, tall and short. It has no borders and never will. It flows in the United States of America through every person, and all are perfect manifestations of it. The Spirit creates. The Spirit innovates. The Spirit discovers. The Spirit loves. It manifests itself as wisdom in people and in leaders. The Spirit is perfect, and it makes no mistakes. Our awareness of it evolves and improves perpetually. Its power is love. And I declare that love is the power that unifies everyone. Love is the power that forgives. Love is the key that elevates our consciousness and awareness of the truth. The wisdom and truth of this express in me as joyful appreciation. Appreciation for the life we share with our friends and families and loved ones, and also with those we have yet to meet. So, I release this word to the law of mind, and it reaches everyone and everything which is part of the wholeness we call God. And so it is.